You know what is happening. Do not be deceived. The mind creates bonds that do not exist in the physical world. Connections intensify while you sleep. Someone's presence can be so palpable that it becomes frightening. This person feels you, seeks you, dreams of you, and wakes up trembling. And you interpret, justify, wait. The cycle reaffirms itself. The desire for understanding does not change reality. There is no mysticism here. There is a dynamic that repeats, a search for something more. You call it connection because it softens the emptiness. The truth is that all this happens at a distance. What was felt is an echo of your own need. Waking up startled is not a sign of love. It is a warning. The connection itself is sustained by you. The impulse to know, to seek answers, keeps this energy alive. If you were not involved, none of this would be present. While this person continues projecting, you find yourself trapped in an invisible web. The connection strengthens, but only in your mind. For the other, it is a fleeting fragment, a moment that dissolves after waking up. And today you live between expectation and frustration. There is no comfort, only the insistence of something that never materializes. Staying still is also a choice. You decide what you do with this, and the truth is clear. The intensity of the dream does not guarantee the strength of reality. Waking up trembling is not a sign from the angels. It is a reflection of what you need to confront. The reality has already been presented. You feel trapped in a cycle that never ends. The mind weaves stories out of chaos. You know that the intensity of feelings does not transform absence into presence. However, here lies the paradox. You still hope that something will change. The routine echoes a pattern. This person disappears, and you find yourself rebuilding hopes. Each unanswered message weighs like an anchor. Intense feelings are not a guarantee of reciprocity. What you consider a connection is, in fact, an empty field where expectation is the only occupant. The other person may be embroiled in their own battle, but that does not legitimize your pain. You feed on unfulfilled promises. It's like living a mirage. The closer you get, the farther away it seems. It's frustrating. And this frustration turns into a voracious desire for something tangible, for a real return. You go to bed thinking about the possibility of change. The day progresses in silent expectation, but nothing materializes. The messages received are vapors, illusions that dissipate as quickly as they appear. The echo of your need resonates, but the other's silence is deafening. When you decide to ignore your own needs, the result is a distortion of reality. What you feel is true, but the manifestation is illusory. You give life to a bond that exists only in your mind. The other person has no obligation to meet this expectation. Waiting for something to happen is succumbing to despair. And that is not the other person's fault. It is your choice. You choose to keep this cycle active. When someone doesn't show up, when someone returns only to leave again, your search becomes a maze. Every turn leads to the same place, frustration. You want to understand this behavior. Why? For what purpose? The issue is not the other person. The issue is you. Are you willing to continue? Each day that passes, the situation repeats. The emotional cost is high. Your energy drains while you cling to empty promises. The bond remains because you support it. It is not because it is strong, but because you refuse to cut it. And this refusal is a trap. The idea that you need this bond to be whole is toxic. You have lived without this absence before, but the mind tries to convince you otherwise. Every time you allow yourself to relive this waiting, the pattern reaffirms itself. You tell yourself, this time will be different, and reality pushes you back to the same place. Meanwhile, the other person moves on, inadvertently or not, continues their life unaware of your struggle. The evidence is right in front of you. All this is your story, not a joint construction. Time doesn't heal, it reveals. Reveal this to yourself. Waking up with a start is not a sign of love. It's a sign that something needs to change. And this change starts with your decision to stop. Imagine for a moment freeing yourself from this narrative. The dream doesn't come true because there is no foundation in reality. You can choose to deal with what really matters, which is your life, your well-being. The illusion is not true. It dissolves at the first touch of reality. If you can realize this, maybe you can finally make a decision. A decision not based on hope, but on acceptance. Accepting that what has been built doesn't hold up. Accepting that the echo of your needs will never become a call. And when you finally confront this cycle, the weight will begin to dissipate. The silence will stop being deafening. A new clarity will emerge. You don't need external validation. You need internal honesty. This honesty can be uncomfortable, but in the end, it is what transforms. Every moment of doubt, every frustrated hope, every repeated cycle is already part of your experience. And now you can begin to understand that the greatest transformation is the one that happens inside you. Reality has already been presented. Don't ignore it. There is a moment when repetition becomes so familiar that you can even predict the next act. You feel it in your skin. The pattern is not just an experience, it has become part of who you are. This expectation is what gives a distorted sense to your reality. You wake up every morning with the same feeling, hope, a shadow that oscillates between possibility and frustration. You know something isn't right, but you keep feeding the flame. Deep down, a part of you believes that this light will one day become a lighthouse. But this belief only prolongs the pain. This cycle of waiting does not come without costs. You spend time, energy, and most importantly, emotions. What should be a normal state has become a dark labyrinth. Every message not received weighs like an anchor. Your mind stirs, creates scenarios, elaborates dialogues that will never happen. When did you decide that this was acceptable? When did you allow the discrepancy between what you feel and what is real to become a pattern? Each silence turns into a deafening echo, a reminder that you are trapped in your own illusions. And yet you persist. Every message, every attempt at contact is a silent scream for validation. You don't just want answers, you want to be seen, recognized. And while this need consumes you, the other person moves on, unaware of your dilemma. What you fear is the inevitability of the break. The idea that upon confronting the truth, something inside you might break. But what truly breaks is the illusion. And this break is necessary. Have you ever felt that life should not just be about waiting for the other to manifest? Shouldn't it be a struggle to gain attention, like an artist waiting for applause that never comes? Every step you don't take is a choice. You decide to continue in this stagnation. You refuse to see that there is a world beyond this vicious cycle. While you wait, life passes you by. Opportunities dissipate. Other connections of other kinds can emerge, but you remain trapped in the expectation that this person will return. But what happens when you finally decide to take a step back? When you start to look more broadly, the horizon expands and the mist begins to clear. You realize that life is not a stage where only one actor plays their part. Often, the true spectacle is observed from a distance, without you having to participate actively. And then, the challenge transforms. Instead of seeking understanding in absence, start to understand the presence you can still cultivate within yourself. What inside of you needs to be nurtured? Where has your energy been misdirected? What can you do to rewrite your own story independently of the actions of others? Confronting these thoughts can be daunting. The resistance is palpable, but at the same time, it's liberating. You are more than your emotions. You are capable of creating new bonds, new narratives. Opening up to new possibilities requires courage and the willingness to let go of what no longer serves. Look at the pieces that remain of your past and forgive yourself for having invested so much in something that never had real potential. The emotional impact was high, but the lesson is also clear. You don't need to carry this burden. As you make this transition, you begin to realize that the space left by absence can be filled with experiences, self-knowledge, and perhaps even new connections. Everything starts to adjust as you gain clarity. It's not about forgetting, it's about learning to live beyond those echoes. Life is not made of unfulfilled promises. It is a rich tapestry of experiences, learning, and growth. When you finally stop adding weight to what suffocates your true essence, you'll start seeing the small signs of change, those days when the light enters and makes everything seem sharper. Vulnerability transforms into strength. Gradually, the cycle begins to unravel. You stop waiting and start acting. The connection you've established with yourself becomes the foundation for new interactions. The other ceases to be the sole protagonist of your story. Now you are the main author. Every sentence you write has the capacity to refocus your path. The cycle does not need to continue. The emotional cost doesn't need to be yours. You have the power to alter the narrative. Reality has already been presented. Do not ignore it. When you reflect on what you've built, the idea of detachment becomes even more crucial. Every moment wasted in waiting is a drop in an overflowing bucket. This idea of an idealized love is nothing more than a mental construct, a fantasy that you refuse to leave behind. The comfort of expectation starts to become a burden. Inside, a silent battle is waged. You yearn for approval, but this search only produces an empty echo. Empty promises reverberate within you, like a drum resounding in an endless tunnel. You want to believe that someone will notice your struggle, that they will finally recognize the value you have placed in this illusory bond, but reality shatters under the weight of this desire. Meanwhile, life continues its indifferent course. You watch other people forming connections, moving forward with ease, while you feel like a spectator on the sidelines, trapped in a narrative that does not belong to you. It's like being trapped in a bubble, where every impulse of yours is suffocated by the fear of confronting the truth. Every day you wake up hopeful, and each night ends in frustration. What you don't realize is that this pain is a disguised opportunity. The discomfort reveals the truth that you are not just seeking love. You are thirsty for validation, and that needs to change. Every time you allow yourself to be dragged back into this cycle, you ignore an essential part of yourself. The part that wishes to express itself, that longs to be alive, that doesn't need anyone's permission to shine. Imagine the weight being lifted. Each deep breath, a release, the intensity of the dream fading, giving way to clarity. You can rewrite the narrative that imprisons you. It's not about forgetting or denying the feelings. It's about recognizing that these feelings exist, but they do not define your worth. Understanding this means beginning to see your strength, the ability to transform pain into learning. Each tear shed already represents a moment of growth. There is no shame in that. It is part of being human. The real question is, are you willing to use this experience as fuel to build something new? The echoes of need no longer need to shape your existence. The silence left by the absence can transform into a fertile space for new possibilities. You must ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I value in myself? Separate your expectations regarding others. Ask yourself what you can offer to those you relate to. Where are your passions, your curiosities, your dreams that have been relegated to the background? This process requires courage, a courage that is not defined by a loud scream, but by the silent decision to seek, to act. Every step outside of your comfort zone is an act of self-valuation. Others don't need to understand. You do this for yourself. The wounds may be painful, but they are also a gateway to self-discovery. Every time you get closer to the truth, you release some of the chains that bind you. What may seem like an insurmountable abyss transforms into a bridge, and every step you take becomes an affirmation of who you are, no longer dependent on unrequited love, but whole and autonomous. Life isn't a constant waiting, it's an invitation to action. It's time to step out of the shadow and shine. Allow yourself to explore new horizons. Discover what truly fascinates you. Give yourself the chance to grow freely. As you disconnect from the ties of this non-reciprocal relationship, you begin to perceive the opportunities that have always been around you. New connections may arise, but this will only happen when you let go of what keeps you captive. It is time to make a deliberate move towards the unknown. You are no longer a mere spectator. You are the agent of your change. The story is not over yet. Each blank page is a chance to chart a new path. This turn will not be easy. Old habits have deep roots. Resistance will arise, but with each day you will become stronger. Understanding this brings freedom. Accepting that you do not need the validation of others is a revolutionary act. By doing this, you start to create new paradigms of connection based on mutual respect and reciprocity. This new space allows you to rediscover yourself. Do not be afraid to look yourself in the eye. Face your essence and accept the beauty of your complexity. Transformation does not happen overnight, but the decision to break the vicious cycle is already a big step. Each new interaction will be a reflection of what you have decided to be. And even though some days may be more challenging, stay firm. The path may be long, but the reward is immeasurable. You will discover that life is not only made of meetings and partings, it is built on the choices you make, in how you decide to see yourself and how you decide to live. The truth has already been presented. Now it is your turn to write a new chapter.